How long were you thinking about leaving America?
It was pretty quick. We bounced around the idea in November. Starting in November, we thought about it. She initially suggested New Zealand because Lord of the Rings.
I love Lord of the Rings.
And I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool, but like kind of, brush it off. Like, there's no way we can get out to New Zealand. And then probably around closer to end of December, New Year, I was like, wait, but why not?
So it became real for me
Yeah.
when actually the flood of executive orders came out.
So that was
I read
January.
every single one of those because I pathologically read everything, all the fine print. I read every single executive order that came out, and it was clear what their intentions were. I mean, there was all this Project 2025 nonsense, whatever, like that could be, couldn't be. A lot of people read a lot of stupid shit, but when it's an executive order, that's when I paid attention. And for me, I have a background. My grandmother fled Cuba. They left Cuba when they found a bullet casing in my mother's crib. And it has always been a story told in my family that, political instability is why we left to get a better life for you. And as I look around myself, I see political instability. I know what to do next.
Yeah. So, but New Zealand was on the map because you're Lord of the Rings fans.
Lord of the Rings put New Zealand on the map originally.
We wouldn't have probably have heard of it otherwise.
Yeah.
Right?
I know, but you'd be amazed. I mean, he is Sir Peter Jackson, and if he wasn't Sir Peter Jackson, I'd be saying, you've got to give this guy knighthood. He has so put this country on the map in so many ways.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting how many Americans, that's what they say to me, it's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, and here's the thing, the initial consideration was, in the weirdest thing, the most important part. So, because once we started looking into it, because one, the first thing that got us looking was we wanted to get out of the States, but we had to make sure if we were doing a move like that, there had to be a pull.
Right, we're not just gonna run. Like, if we're gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, we want to be there in case, like, the day after we move, everything changes and it's hunky-dory over there. We want to be like, well, we still made a good choice. And, we looked at New Zealand, we researched the politics, we researched the climate, the culture. We had a spreadsheet. We were looking at everything, schools, what it was like to raise kids.
Right.
This crime percentage, what type of crimes. We read the news.
That was November last year. It's pretty quick.
Yeah.
From November to finding us.
Yeah.
And then it was July, you got the residency.
Yeah.
Which is like,
we were on a plane in June.
I don't remember spring.
And I do remember saying to you partway through, this thing is just going too well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really rare, seriously, for everything to fall into place like it did for you guys. So you did your research. So you had some expectations. Just share with me what those expectations were. Lifestyle, education, crime if you want, cost of living. What did it tell you?
Yeah, there are some things that are very much higher and some things that are very much lower. And I feel like the end number that we've kind of come to is pretty comparable to living in Denver, because what you get in the United States is like, we're actually, the middle class is being very much squeezed by a lot of things. Health insurance premiums going higher and higher, rent going higher and higher. Yeah. Everything is being artificially jacked up. So honestly, cost of living is not an issue. We also looked at schooling. I have a good friend, Robbie. You know Robbie. Robbie excitedly told me after I told them we were considering New Zealand. They told me that that all the best educational research is actually coming out of this country. And they excitedly told me all the cool things that universities here are just developing about education. And I said, that's really cool. How many school shootings have they had?
School shootings.
School shootings. How many school shootings has New Zealand had? The answer is 0.
Yeah.
0.
I mean, that's also a little bit of a pull factor for it. I get that one all the time as well.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about my kids going to school.
We made a great choice.
So basically, if I'm hearing you right, it was safety, security, cost of living didn't seem wildly different to Denver.
Correct.
Climate, you live in Denver.
Yeah, it's definitely
23 degrees Celsius in November, can't believe that much.
Yeah.
Definitely the quality of life living outdoors was also a huge thing. So we were also considering Canada. And Canada has a proper socialist, ish society where they take care of their people, but it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold.
It's not as cold here.
Unfortunately, the west side of the country tends to catch on fire in the summer.
Sure does. It's still a bit too close to the United States.
Yeah.
All the jokes.
We
of
didn't
United
like the
States.
51st state conversation.
But New Zealand definitely competes with Canada. And
Oh,
I think emotionally, if you're in America and you think, well, I just got to go there rather than go over there, it does make it easier.
Yeah.
I mean, I do find that. I mean, the South Africans, the Zimbabweans would always go to South Africa
Yeah.
for the most part. They crossed a river.
Yeah.
What I really want to talk about is you and that whole job search thing, because you are one of the few clients that we represent that managed to get a job without coming to New Zealand. So I want to try and help people understand, how did you start with that process? Did it evolve? And what do you reckon was the difference? Why did you get that job when most people can't?
So the short answer is, I'm actually autistic, and I have to study social interactions and emulate them. Conversation doesn't come naturally to me. So things.
Note for viewers, could have fooled me.
I studied it. I studied it like I study code, like I study anything else. When I got on a call with someone from New Zealand, I paid attention to what they were asking, how they were forming their questions, what was important to them. And then whenever I met with a recruiter who told me, I'm sorry, this job just is not a good fit for you, I would say, like, if you don't mind, I'm from the States and I have children. Do you have a second to look at my resume with me and tell me what you might suggest? And they were all, as soon as I said that, they were like, you got it. It's terrifying over there right now, isn't it? And we would jump on a call and they would pull it up and they would look at it and they would be like, so here, you gotta talk about yourself more. You know, here, like, this is one page, it's very terse, it's very professional. We're not like that here. And I was like, oh my God, what? Tell me more. And they're like, you need to reveal more about yourself, about your personality, change all your I's to we's. Are you a team player? You know?
Seriously?
Seriously?
That is a real surprise to me.
Really?
No, it is. It's a real surprise. Especially in your game, right?
Yeah.
Software engineer, systems admin, is that fair?
Yeah.
More or less.
Salesforce,
CRM.
Yeah. Normally what I say to people is my experience is establishing that relationship with the recruiter, the HR manager, the employer. It's everything. But not normally in your game, because forgive me, you tend to interact more, generally speaking, with machines than with people. So that's really interesting.
The
to
human
me.
element is so crucial in software. So crucial. The beer test is popular in Silicon Valley for a very important reason, that software only started to be a thing in the 70s and 80s, really. This, as a field, it is so new, and what we're doing is so complex, and that you are often staring at a screen and giving it the middle finger. So you need to make sure you're working with people who are not toxic and will help you solve this problem. So the beer test is like, can we be on a whiteboard for 8 hours trying to get this thing out and not kill each other, right? So the human element in software is extremely important because it's just such a complex field, it's such a complex job, right? So what I was missing in my initial job hunt here was that beer element. Where in the United States, like, I got it, like, I know that we would go to a brewery and hit it off. I know that they would respect my experience, how I come across, where I come from. It did not land in New Zealand. It did not land until I started to think, what can I bring to the table as a migrant that locals here do not have? That was really the missing key piece. Besides all of the like slight adjustments, like I mean, my like resume into the A5 paper size instead of letter. I got Grammarly for to change my spellings to be New Zealand spelling, so it was not jarring to them, right? I rented a New Zealand number, so when they're calling a New Zealand number. These are all things that you just don't want them when they read your CV. You don't want them to be jarred, right? It needs to gel. And as long as it gels, then the next step is the actual interview. And the actual interview is important because you can't say like, oh, look at me, look at what I did. You have to dig into them. What about you? What's your problem? Tell me about your problem, tell me about your project. Have you, oh, that's interesting, have you tried this? I'm looking forward to seeing if this idea works. And like the best thing that I could do was to pull people in and to start to troubleshoot the problem. Sorry
to interrupt.
Yeah.
How many jobs did you apply for before you had an interview?
100. I was on Seek. I applied to everything across the entire country.
You gave us the advice where it's very unlikely to even get an interview before we get here physically.
And if I may, I think I may also have said it at that initial consultation.
Yeah.
That period when you start applying for jobs, when you're kind of mentally committed to this thing happening, but it's like there's this brick wall.
Yeah.
No work visa, no interview.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't get work visa without job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And discouragement, I mean, that's one word that crops up all the time.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, you have to blend. You also have to display what is extra with you in a way that is not jarring to them. So the way I was able to do that was I'm a mentor to other women in tech. I've run meetups, I've run workshops, I've done all that kind of thing. When I added that onto my resume and said, this is my community impact in tech, all of a sudden my phone started ringing off the hook.
seriously, I'm sitting here, because what I've been saying to people for so many years is, they don't care if you like rock climbing, they don't care if you're a Christian, if you're white, if you're black, if you're whatever. They don't care. That's, seriously, it's been my experience.
Really?
So I've got to say, I'm sitting here a little bit gobsmacked. But it worked for you.
It
I mean,
worked.
it could, honestly, it could simply be a case of whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe in some way you stumbled across that one employer that clicked. Because again, a really big message before.
Yeah.
Is
All
that
of a
what it was?
sudden it was nothing, and then when I made those changes, it was 4. I was in 4 pipelines at once.
But I wonder what it was. I'm sure the rock climbing probably didn't do it.
Maybe not, maybe not.
But maybe that mentoring, this is my community, what I'm
Yeah.
giving back. It does say something about you as a person.
Yeah.
And in some ways that makes sense to me, given that New Zealand only produces about 50% of the graduates. That we need to fill these roles. It's been like that forever.
Yeah.
And so no matter where you end up, if you work in IT in New Zealand,
Yeah.
it's the United Nations.
Yeah.
So maybe that whole cultural fit is far more important than what I ever imagined it was going to be. Because I just thought you were all nerds.
We are.
I've got to
So
say,
we're
in my
nerds.
experience, all the IT people we've moved down the years, and probably 20 to 25% of our clients do work in IT.
Yeah.
You're a pretty eclectic bunch, I have to say. And I know a lot of local ones as well,
Yeah.
and they're all on the frickin' spectrum.
Oh, totally.
Well, not quite all, but you do seem
You
to lend
notice some
itself.
things. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
the tism riz, as my
Yeah,
daughter
the
likes to call
tism.
it.
Yeah, bring at least one tism to the table.
If,
That's right.
If I can add one thing from somebody eavesdropping on her interviews,
Yeah.
because I was always curious, trying to be there to support her. She tended to have a more positive experience in the interview when she included the personal things. It seemed to me that the initial conversations were very much, "Who are you?" And getting to know Cecily. When she would try to steer the conversation to skills, professional expertise,
Oh yeah, they hate that.
it actually would they would shut down.
Yeah.
And I could hear her starting to get flustered because she knew something was wrong, couldn't quite figure it out. But the conversations where that initial call, because they'll get to the tech later,
They will.
that initial call when she was just having a conversation, talking about things she enjoyed, and kind of talking about herself and asking the other person who she was talking to how they were, like, I could
And
tell
I
they did
have
a
to
lot.
say again, that is really common. That's advice I give everybody.
Yeah.
That first interview can often be really confusing for immigrants. And I'm
Yeah.
talking about the South Africans, the Americans, the Canadians, the Brits, the Singaporeans,
Yeah.
because they all kind of the general feedback I get is they come from an environment where I want to know what you're bringing me, skills.
Yeah.
And I often say to them, you can get quite confused in the first interview because they want to talk about the rugby and the weather and is Trump really is such a whack job, whatever
Oh,
the
yeah.
case may be.
Yes,
You know what I mean? And I say to them, it's because they want to get to know you.
Right.
Are you going to fit here?
It's a vibe
Because if
check.
you're an American, you're not a Kiwi.
Yeah.
A Canadian, you're not.
Right.
You're all different to us.
Yeah.
So that cultural thing, I think, also because it's so hard to fire people,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
it takes on even greater importance. What has surprised you about what you found at this place? Because for me, coding's coding, Python's Python,
Yeah.
right? You can do it in your sleep, you do it anywhere on the planet. But like everybody, there's this process of assimilation, might be a bit strong, but fitting in to the environment. So what's your experience been?
Yeah, so the first knee jerk, like, what the hell's going on, is that Kiwis love to take the piss. Like, if they're making fun of you, they like you. And that to me was like, took a little bit of adjustment, but now I'm happy with it. I love it. But like, as far as the workplace goes, in America, it's very rewarded for you to come in and take charge. They want someone with ideas, they want someone with drive, someone with initiative. But if you do that, at least in the professional settings that I've seen here, everyone shrinks back and goes, what the fuck is wrong with her? Like, it's all about humility, collaboration. Maybe we can figure this out together. And, you know, leading someone on a journey with you instead of saying, like, this is how we should do it. So you have to slow yourself down. You have to get to know the people. Like, I've never seen so much things happen with just coffees. At my workplace in particular, they go to All Press so much, I swear to God, they probably cut them a 6-figure check a year. Like, they could bulk purchase coffees because so much happens when, oh, let's just go grab a coffee.
Yep.
We grab a coffee and we talk. And that's where the actual problem solving happens. And in America, we problem solve in front of a whiteboard and everyone's there held hostage in attendance at the meeting. You are helping solve the problem, whether you want to or not. And if you try to whiteboard problem solve here, everyone looks at you blankly like, we don't want to do that. We don't want to be here. What's going on? So I've had.
So it comes back to the relationship stuff again.
Yes, it's very personal. You can only solve problems like one-on-one. And if you dare to, like, in a group setting, say, oh my God, we have some problems here. You know, there is some fragility to this process. What they actually hear is, this code is shit. And how dare you allow this to happen? Like, they hear something that you're not saying. They take personal offense. Mm-hmm. And you have to pull it back into such a way where it's more of a suggestion on something we could do together. And that for me has been the biggest recalibration, because like I've mentioned, autism, it took me 10 years to figure out the professional formula for myself and how I can be effective at work and how I can, because there's so much more to software than producing code. You have to collaborate with people.
And you mentioned to me, you'd read with your spectral research,
Yes.
this so-called tall poppy syndrome in New Zealand, and you
Yes.
wondered if that was what was going on,
Yes.
that you were kind of being pulled down to size, don't come in here, Yankee, and
Yeah.
throw your weight around, tell us what we're not doing right. And
Yeah.
my response to that was, I think that used to be a real thing in New Zealand.
You think so?
But
Yeah.
I'm not convinced anymore. I think
Yeah.
cultural differences can be interpreted in that way. Oh, you're just trying to pull me down.
I think that's a short-sighted view of what's happening. I think being in it and having that be my initial reaction, that's what I thought. This is tall poppy, isn't it? But as I dug more into the problem, and I talked to people I trusted who live here, and I said, like, what do you think about this? I think what is more happening is that they want to be a part of the solution, and they don't want you to do it alone. It needs to be something we do together. And how can we do it together if you're not taking them on a journey with you? And to be honest, like, I actually like that. Like, if I step back and I ignore my own ego for a moment, and I think, do I like a society that is collective and collaborative and is not me? And the answer is, yeah, I really do actually, because I think that is a stronger social fabric. And I think we see that. We see that in healthcare and the way, like, healthcare is free for children here.
Yeah.
But you know, again, I remember discussing at the consultation, it's like, how do you prove you're serious? How do you prove you're committed? And it's really interesting, the feedback we're getting a lot at the moment here through the IT recruitment side of what we do, is employers don't believe you when you say, I'm moving permanently. And as I say to my partner over at Link Recruitment, just make these employers understand these people are paying, have paid.
Yep.
To this point when they're looking for a job, thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Right.
I mean, God, that's got to send
Well,
a
and if
pretty
you don't,
serious signal, isn't
if
it?
you
Yeah.
don't check the box, and this is the part that I felt the worst about, but I did it anyway because it was worse for my children's safety. If you don't check the box, yes, I have a right to work, then you are going to end up in a pile with 300 other applications that won't. But if you get there, because I was able to say I checked the box because, well, honestly, I've got Ian, and as soon as I have the job offer, the right to work's not going to be a problem.
And I say that to everybody,
Right.
basically lie. Just
It was hard for
because
me,
you're
but
not,
yes.
because they're not going to interview if you tell the truth.
Right.
And the worst thing that will happen if you get an interview and they say, well, when can you start? You say, well, when he gets me the visa. But
Right.
that's going to be in 6 weeks' time and it's going to be residency.
Right.
Yeah.
What have you got to lose? I mean,
Exactly.
I really never have felt comfortable saying that to people, but I do say to people, it's the one lie you have to tell.
I don't view it as a lie in the sense that on the initial submission, you are checking a checkbox. Yes, that may not necessarily be accurate, but the moment that they talk to me about it, the moment that there is someone who's like, hey, Mike, I want to know about you. What's your right to work, anything like that, and I'm able to explain where I was at that particular time. Again, I'd sunk in several $1,000s. The house was on the market. She was actively job searching and trying to get applications and documentation all organized. And from the employer's perspective, yes, there is a lot of people who won't follow through because it's difficult. It is not an easy thing to move, but
Not for you. But I think for a lot of employers, they think there's a whole lot more involved than there is. And the great thing about the green list straight to residency is your employment contract is no different to what they would have signed with a New Zealand candidate. They don't have to justify their employment.
Right.
There's nothing for them to do when it's green list straight to residency. But trying to get that through their heads, I tell you.
Well, the trial wording they have to pull out.
Yeah, well, there's no 90-day trial if they sponsor you, which makes sense. There was also one other thing that I said, which was, I'm not sure if I will need sponsorship yet at this point. Let's keep talking and see if this is a good fit first, because that was also the truth. We were talking about Mike going to school, maybe studying geology, and if he were to go to school, then I wouldn't need sponsorship. So when you are discussing all of the different options, asking the question, do you need sponsorship? And I'm saying, I'm not sure, maybe that would be the best path, is a valid answer.
Yeah, but
I will
for the
say,
viewers, there's no such thing as sponsorship.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, see, this is why we hired Ian,
Yes,
who
that's
knows
right.
what he's doing.
We're
Good
not the
answer.
experts.
Good answer.
Yes.
No, but a lot of employers believe they're taking on obligations.
Yeah, they're
If
not.
they
though.
do offer you a job, but they're
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just coming back to the point is that a lot of these employers in New Zealand are still worried you're using them, and none more so than greenlist straight to residency, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah.
Most of our clients have to work for 1 or 2 or 3 years before they become eligible to apply for residency. So they've got an incentive to hang around with the employer. You had none. We got your residency in 6 weeks, whatever it was, plus or minus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, the stupidity of those green list rules say that the minute you get the resident visa, you don't even have to take up the job you're offered. Now, you'd really piss off the employer and make it
Sure,
really
that's-
difficult for the next.
It's a
That
very
is-
small world.
That's a
It's
small
very
world,
small
and that
Yeah.
would mark me as some kind of way.
But that is a real concern of a lot of employers in New Zealand. They
Yeah.
are being used, which I find really weird. If it's a good job, good environment,
Right.
market rate pay, why would you leave?
Right. Honestly, when I came into my job, I came in pumped, ready to do my best work for these people because it was because of their job offer. But my children are now in a place where no school's ever been shut up, and the amount of gratitude that I have, I'm like, fuck yeah, you guys rescued me. Let's get your goals done. Let's do it. I am gung ho.
Yeah.
And I think if employers understood that more, you get some people who are ready to repay you for that risk, because we take risk too. Gosh, this funds our groceries every week. These jobs. This is the most time we spend away from home. We are putting so much personal risk on the line when we take a job.
Yeah.
Especially if it's we're moving our kids overseas. That's,
Across the world.
But you can still see it from the employer's perspective. I mean, you are Americans after all.
Yes.
And are you going to fit? Are you going to deliver? Are you going to be what they wanted? So I totally get why a lot of employers are a little bit. And again, I say to everybody, I said it to you, if there's a Kiwi who's on paper as good as you, the Kiwi's going to get the job.
Yeah.
I see it in the Australian labour market for exactly the same reason. If I'm moving to America, I'll bet you they'll take the American over me. Because the American is more known to them than this Kiwi from the bottom of the other side of the Pacific Ocean. Anyway, the next thing I wanted to ask you about actually was kids. So you've got 3 of them between you.
Yes.
2, 12, 10. How have they dealt with it, coped with it, fitted in? Are they happy? Are they sad? I mean, Hunter, he's coming up to, he doesn't know he's
Hunter
alive,
had
he
the
doesn't
hardest
care.
time. Actually,
He
no,
did,
Hunter
yeah.
had the hardest time out of everybody.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Hunter had a total sleep regression. Hunter had developed separation anxiety.
Yep.
Hunter, everything was different, everything was new, and we just coped with the way you cope with any baby things, which is you can just live on mom right here, and I just held him forever until eventually he got sick of me and he was fine again.
Yeah, but yeah, he was.
And the older two girls?
They handled things pretty well. They were definitely nervous leading up to the trip. I think so. When we initially discussed the idea with them, you know, New Zealand is exotic.
Exotic.
To Americans,
yeah.
it
To
is.
Americans, it's
So exotic.
All those
Yeah.
orcs and hobbits running around everywhere.
Yeah.
Hot water pools.
you know.
Yeah.
Julia was
Tectonic
hoping to
plates.
meet Aragon, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know.
Aragorn. She
Aragorn,
looks
yeah,
like
I gotta
it's
say that
Aragorn.
correctly. But you know, and then when we got right up to it, we were, you know, packing up the last of the things. We were getting ready to drive out to California because that's where we flew out from. They were definitely feeling the anxiety. They were very nervous. They wanted a lot of reassurance. And then once we got here, I think things settled in a lot easier. We got them into school pretty quick.
That helps. I think getting them into school quick is so important because they were just sitting around the house like, we want to make friends.
Yeah, they did get really bored.
Yeah.
I was back at work after 2 weeks, and I was working U.S. hours.
Working U.S. hours here is something we cannot recommend to anyone.
Yes.
Sidebar.
Yes. If you work U.S. hours in New Zealand, it's going to be hard for you.
No. If you have no children, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but your stand-up was at 1 a.m. Right?
Uh,
No,
AM.
your tech call was at 1
2.
a.m.
It was
5
2.
hours, isn't it? Here to Colorado. Most
It
of
was
the year.
at the time. So, oh god, that was gonna be interesting. So when I first got here, there was a 1 day minus 6 hours. So I was working Tuesday through Saturday, 2 a.m.
Different day, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
different day.
Americans can always rest assured the world doesn't end today because it's already tomorrow.
Yeah,
here.
we've already made it to tomorrow.
That's a good line.
But the time changes I found are reversed. So when New Zealand springs forward, the United States falls back.
Yeah.
So
then it goes down to 3
so
hours.
the difference goes down to 4.
Which should make it easier
From
on
6 to
yourself.
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harder.
Yeah, so like between us and like Pacific time, it's only a 3-hour difference.
Yeah.
So during the summer, you could feasibly do it, but just be ready for the winter to it just become this huge
Yeah.
gulf. And now
And
you're
as I say, with kids,
with kids, well, because we got to pick up the kids. Kids come home from school, they're loud, they bang, and he's trying to nap.
Yeah. it's
and
very-
that's something else. Of course, you have no social network here. You came here to nothing and nobody.
Oh
At one job, shortly a second job.
yeah.
So just talk to me about the kids. You know, the schooling. How have they found it? Have they been accepted?
The athletics are very different, and the kids. It took the kids some getting used to because I mean you got Kiwi kids running around, no shoes on. They're all
No shoes.
yeah, no shoes. They're
Exotic.
exotic.
But you know, the uniform criteria is so strict. They come in, they're like, you have to wear the school branded socks, you have to wear the hat, and then you see all these kids running them up without shoes on, and you're like, got it.
Yeah. There was definitely intimidating actually for especially Julia.
Yeah.
And I think Lorelai as well, but she wasn't as vocal about it because sports exist in the United States, but it's not like a mandatory thing. You've got
After school.
you've got after school sports. They had recess, like 2 15-minute recess periods for Lorelai. Julia was down to a single 15-minute recess.
Yeah.
Gosh, I remember when I was that age, I lost recess in middle school. Like that was
Yeah. They don't play outside in the United States.
So like that's very different. So
Yeah.
the friends that they're trying to make are a lot more athletic than they were.
Mm-hmm.
So it was definitely a challenge for them to try and overcome. And I think they've been doing a good job of kind of getting out of their comfort zone and meeting new kids. Definitely,
Lorelai plays rugby now.
yeah.
So she's 12, so she's still at primary or elementary. Is
She's intermediate where
Yeah.
she's at Belmont Intermediate.
senior primary, it's still elementary, right?
Same.
But she's still learning the same stuff. I mean, she's not. It's not
The
different.
academics are much easier for her, but then again, we have gifted children.
They were in accelerated classes.
Yeah.
She was actually taking like math classes that were 2 years beyond her.
Did they start school at 5, like our kids do here?
Julia started a little later, actually. She
It
started-
depends on your date of birth. That's the
At
difference.
5 to 6.
Yeah.
The academics are not as rigorous here, but they are more playful. They are more curiosity-minded. They are more student-driven.
Mm.
Which in the States, I think was your experience the same, where it was like?
It was a different approach in the States. New Zealand, I think, is very, again, focused. We go back to the culture thing of the collaboration. Very much, I've seen instances where they will challenge specific students maybe a little bit more, but they want to keep them together. Where in the States, they do very frequently talk about skipping grades and
Clustering gifted students, so they're all in one
and
class.
very isolated. So you'll see, kids who may be better at certain academics separated from the rest, and that can also, from experience, feel alienating.
Even at primary level.
Oh yeah.
Because here they wouldn't tend to do that. They're all in together.
Yeah.
Sort of a 2-year expectation framework. So they still, within that 2 years, they'll accelerate younger kids. But when they get to high school, there'll be some high schools here where they don't stream them,
Yeah.
but others where they do stream them.
Right.
So you will have the accelerated for the gifted. And
Yeah.
Well, and that is keeping though, like having my friend Robbie, who is familiar with education research, was helpful for me because I actually met with a lot of American immigrants on my way here. And some of them told me that New Zealand schools were shit. They point blank said, like, I despise the public schools there. I had to put my child into private school after paying all of this money. But actually, all of the complaints that they had were like, I don't think that my child is being challenged like I was in the States. But actually, if you look at the research and if you look at the strategies that the States uses to challenge these children, it doesn't actually result in better outcomes.
Yeah.
Right. So actually, the things that a lot of my American immigrant friends have taken issue with in New Zealand schooling are backed up by science as the better method.
Yeah, well, look, as a father of 2 boys that went through it and grandchildren who will go through it, you'll be aware that the New Zealand government's just changed curriculum at primary because we have decided after 30 years it's quite important that they can count to 10 and that they can spell their own names because, we've had 30 years of if they feel good, then it must be good.
Well,
And call me a boomer, call me a boomer, I do not care. I definitely think you're going to find when, Julia gets to high school next year probably,
Yeah.
Yes.
then she'll be challenged a hell of a lot more than she might be at primary.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the egalitarian nature of New Zealand, and I like the collaborative thing, but I think we've lost track of some of the important stuff like spelling and counting, and
Well,
we still need this stuff. But socially,
that was the biggest culture shock for me. Was
Yeah.
that I walked into like a dairy, right, which is like a little convenience store, and these kids, these 2 little kids, were there shelling out their pocket money and trying to buy some candy. And in the States, kids that age would never have been left alone.
Oh yeah.
People
You
would
have
call
to be.
police.
Yeah, you have to be right outside. If the kids are in the store, you at least have to be right there outside.
I mean, it's one thing I'd say, I'm 61, but that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
That's how my kids grew up.
Yeah.
And we're in the biggest city, the crime capital of New Zealand, out that window.
Yeah.
And I have no doubt that's how my grandsons will be growing up as well. They will get on their bikes, they will get on buses, they will go to the local mall, they'll be doing all that stuff.
Right.
You just don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, you've been here 5 months. What so far don't you like? That is not what you expected it to be.
The things that I can be grumpy about with New Zealand are, I love that I actually get to complain about those because in the United States the problems are so huge. You look at the news and there's, we're used to waking up and, oh look, there's another shooting. Oh, Trump is kidnapping more
Thousands
people.
of people are missing and no one knows
And
where
we're
they
trying
are.
to pick fights with these other countries and whatnot. And I'm here in, I'm in Auckland and I'm like, oh, the traffic sucked today.
I have one, but it's not a gripe against New Zealand. It is something that any immigrant needs to be prepared for when they leave home, which is that life will keep going without you after you leave. One of my best friends got engaged and she's having a wedding. I'm probably not going to pay $2,000 round trip to fly back for that because my family comes first and I simply can't. People, we had some deaths in the family right after we arrived, and that was so tough to deal with. Being here instead of there, when normally you're with your family and you are helping them through these big things. Of being here sometimes it didn't feel like the freeing experience. It felt like we were trapped. But
Yeah, that's really interesting. Again, you think back to that consultation we had, and I always talk to everybody about it. Logistically, it's a huge undertaking. The organisation, the execution. Financially, you can't swim here, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
Emotionally, and you guys, you're like the first wave of Americans
Yeah.
that have actually done it. 2016, Americans didn't leave.
Yeah.
As I quit, I'm still waiting for Gwyneth Paltrow to get here. She was going to leave if Trump got elected. No one left America. Very few people. They certainly didn't come here. But they're coming now, and you've got to accept that. But by the same token, as I also say to you all, America's not going anywhere. It's still there. And if you need to go home, and you guys earn good money, you actually could afford the $2,000 if you needed to find it.
If we wanted, if we really stretched, we could.
Yeah.
It's more of like a, we are still separate now from what was our home, and we have to come to terms with that. But then again, like, we've also come out on the other side from that mourning period, and we have begun to wake up again and to feel the sun shining, take dips in the ocean, go see the glowworms.
I'll tell you something about New Zealanders, and this is a really great thing or a really dumb thing. We will always trust you until you do something to demonstrate that trust was misplaced. And I deal with South Africans, Singaporeans, Americans, Canadians, Brits. I think we're the last place on the planet where we instinctively trust. You've got to do something to destroy that trust. And I love that. That for me is the single most beautiful thing about this country.
Yeah, I love that as well.